Hey everyone, and welcome to the show. Have you ever felt like society was trying to fit you into a box? Dictating your path based on who you are, or in this case, what you are.
Hmm.
Well, today's deep dive takes us into the world of women who decided to just smash those expectations, even if it meant breaking the law. We're cracking open Poor Girls by Claire Whitfield.
Okay.
It's a historic fiction novel that I think will really get you thinking, and you can find a link to the book in the description below. And hey, while you're down there, hit that like button and subscribe if you want more deep dives like this.
So what's fascinating about Poor Girls is that it really plunges us into 1920s England.
Right.
It was a time of massive social upheaval after World War I.
Yeah,
Women were pushing against those traditional roles, but the class system was as rigid as ever.
it was. It's in this powder keg of change
Yeah.
that we meet our main character, Eleanor or Nell, a young waitress in Brighton. You can practically feel her restlessness, her yearning for something more than the humdrum routine of her life.
And that yearning, that desire for a taste of something different, leads her straight into the arms of a mysterious, well-dressed man
Right.
named John. He's charismatic, dangerous, and everything Nell's been missing.
Yeah.
But he's also knee-deep in the criminal underworld.
It's a whirlwind, isn't it? One minute she's serving tea, the next she's caught up in a wild night that ends with her fleeing a hotel in borrowed clothes. Talk about a bad first date.
Oh, yeah. But that impulsiveness, that willingness to leap into the unknown is what throws Nell headfirst into the world of the 40 Elephants.
Yes.
Now, for those unfamiliar,
Right.
the 40 Elephants were an all-female criminal syndicate operating in London. They were notorious, organized, and they completely defied the expectations of what a woman criminal was supposed to be like.
They were a force to be reckoned with, weren't they?
Oh, yeah.
Led by the formidable Alice Diamond, or Queen Alice as she's known. These women had a strict code of conduct, specialized methods of theft, and an unbreakable loyalty to one another. It really makes you question everything you thought you knew about female criminals in the early 20th century.
You're absolutely right. Their signature move was hoisting. Imagine this. They'd use specially designed bloomers
Oh, wow.
with hidden compartments to conceal stolen goods, lifting items right under everyone's noses. It took incredible skill and a healthy dose of audacity.
And the training Nell receives, it's like a crash course in crime.
It is.
Taught by some of the most seasoned members, Babyface, Maggie, Pale Ann, and Dark Ann. These women don't just teach her the techniques, they instill in her the values of the 40 Elephants, loyalty, cunning, and a fierce independence.
It's remarkable how Whitfield paints this picture of camaraderie and mentorship within the 40 Elephants.
Yeah.
These women, often overlooked and underestimated by society, find strength and purpose in each other. It's a stark contrast to the life Nell left behind.
Absolutely. It's like they've created their own family, their own rules, in a world that constantly tried to define them.
Right.
But that world wasn't without its dangers. I mean, we're talking about a criminal underworld dominated by men.
Exactly. And the 40 Elephants had to navigate that world with a delicate balance of boldness and cutting. The police, for example, often dismissed them as petty thieves.
Really?
Failing to grasp the scale and sophistication of their operations, they underestimated these women at their own peril.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And that's where the story takes an interesting turn. The 40 Elephants, with their strict hierarchy and traditional methods, they start to feel a bit stifling to Nell.
Yeah.
Remember, she's ambitious, driven by more than just the need to survive. She wants to make her mark, to carve out her own space in this daring world.
You can really sense that shit in her mindset.
Yeah.
At first, she's thrilled by the rebellion, the camaraderie, the sheer audacity of it all.
Right.
But as she participates in these increasingly daring heists, alongside her cellmates, Effie, Lily, and Charlie, the cracks begin to show, The moral dilemmas, the constant risk, the weight of her choices, it all starts to take a toll.
It's a classic case of be careful what you wish for, isn't it? Nell wanted excitement, and she certainly got it. But with that excitement comes a heavy price.
Yeah.
And we see that price most clearly when Nell visits her family back in Brighton.
Oh, that visit is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
She sees how her family's struggling, how her absence has affected them. Her younger sister has been forced to leave school to help make ends meet.
Right.
It's a stark reminder of the consequences of her choices, not just for herself, but for those she loves.
It's a pivotal moment for Nell, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
It forces her to confront the reality that her pursuit of freedom has come at a cost to others. And it plants the seeds of doubt about whether the 40 Elephants way is truly the path she wants to follow.
It certainly does. And at the same time, she's being exposed to these different perspectives within the 40 Elephants.
Right.
There's Chrissy John's sophisticated sister who's high up in the ranks and takes Nell under her wing.
Chrissy embodies the allure of the life.
Yeah.
She's stylish, confident, and seemingly immune to the risks. She represents the potential rewards of playing the game, a path that could lead Nell to a life of luxury and influence.
Exactly. And then you have Lady J, a seasoned member of the syndicate who offers a more pragmatic, almost philosophical view of the criminal life.
Okay.
She introduces Nell to the idea of high-stakes operations moving beyond petty theft to target the truly wealthy.
Lady J represents a different kind of ambition,
Sure.
one that's less about rebellion and more about strategic calculation. She sees crime as a business, a way to exploit a system rigged in favor of the privileged.
It's fascinating how these characters act as like opposing forces pulling Nell in different directions.
Yeah.
On one hand, she has the camaraderie and shared purpose of the 40 Elephants,
Right.
and on the other, the tantalizing possibility of greater wealth and power.
And then there's Emma Kershaw, a former chambermaid at the Savoy Hotel.
Oh, yeah.
Now she's a real game changer. She concocts this elaborate plan to steal from wealthy guests, and her scheme entices Nell and her cellmates with the promise of a massive payday.
It's like Emma embodies this seductive nature of greed,
Yeah,
dangling this irresistible carrot in front of them.
right.
And you can see how Nell, already questioning the 40 Elephants' traditional ways, is drawn to the potential of such a daring and lucrative operation, but it's also a turning point, a descent into a darker, more dangerous territory.
Exactly. And amidst all this internal conflict, we have Horace Bevan,
Okay.
the young policeman who keeps popping up in Nell's life.
Right.
He starts as this symbolic obstacle representing the law that she's constantly evading.
But their encounters become more charged, would you say?
Yeah,
There's a tension and undeniable connection that goes beyond their roles on opposite sides of the law.
right.
It's almost as if they represent two sides of the same coin, each trying to navigate a society riddled with inequality and injustice.
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Horace becomes a mirror for Nell, reflecting back the complexities of her choices. He represents the allure of a more conventional life, a life that feels increasingly out of reach as Nell gets deeper into the criminal world.
And that brings us to the climax of the story, the attempted robbery of a wealthy stamp collector.
This is where everything comes to a head, wouldn't you say? The carefully laid plans go awry. The stakes escalate, and what was supposed to be a sophisticated heist descends into chaos and violence.
It's a brutal turning point for Nell and her cellmates.
Right.
The consequences of their actions catch up with them in a terrifying way, leaving them to face the harsh realities of their choices. It's a powerful reminder that the criminal world, no matter how glamorous it might seem, can be incredibly unforgiving.
That botched robbery really shatters the illusion of control, doesn't it? Nell and her cellmates are suddenly confronted with the very real possibility of prison, a far cry from that glamorous world they envisioned.
It's a harsh wake-up call. And the betrayal that emerges from the chaos, the fracturing of trust between these women who had been so close, it's almost more devastating than the violence itself.
Yeah, it's a stark reminder that even in a world built on loyalty, self-preservation can trump everything. And for Nell, this betrayal cuts deep, leaving her disillusioned and alone.
The scenes in prison are particularly powerful. Nell encounters a whole spectrum of women, hardened criminals, petty thieves, those simply caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's a stark reminder that the line between right and wrong, between victim and perpetrator, can be blurry indeed.
Yeah. And it's in prison that Nell really grapples with the consequences of her actions. She's stripped of the glamour, the excitement, the illusion of freedom that had drawn her to the 40 Elephants.
But even in that harsh environment, she doesn't break. There's a scene where she challenges the magistrate during her sentencing. It's electrifying. She turns the courtroom into her own stage, delivering this scathing indictment of the class system and the hypocrisy she sees all around her.
It's a brilliant moment that reveals how much Nell has grown. She's no longer just a girl seeking thrills. She's become a woman who understands the systemic forces that have shaped her life, the limited options available to someone like her.
It almost as if prison, in a strange way, becomes a crucible for Nell. It strips away her illusions, but also forces her to confront her own values, her own definition of freedom.
Right. And that brings us to Nell's release and her final encounter with Horace.
Yeah. Remember him, the young policeman she kept running into?
There's a sense of unfinished business between them, a flipper of connection that has persisted despite their different paths.
It's a beautifully ambiguous ending, isn't it? Whitfield doesn't tie everything up in a neat bow. We're left wondering what will become of Nell. Will she return to the 40 Elephants? Will she try to build a legitimate life? Or will she find some other unexpected path?
Exactly, and I think that open ending is what makes Poor Girls so compelling.
Yeah.
It invites us, the readers, to contemplate the complexities of Nell's journey and to consider the choices she might make in a world that offers her few easy answers.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Poor Girls, what stands out to you as the most important takeaway?
For me, it's the way the book challenges the conventional narrative of female criminality.
Right.
Nell and the other 40 Elephants are not simply victims or accomplices. They are complex, ambitious women who make deliberate choices, even if those choices are driven by circumstances beyond their control.
Absolutely. And it's that complexity that makes Poor Girls so relevant today.
Yeah.
It forces us to consider the systemic inequalities that still shape people's lives, the limited options available to those who are marginalized or disadvantaged.
It's a powerful reminder that the pursuit of freedom of agency can take many forms, and sometimes those forms can be messy, unconventional, even criminal.
It's definitely a book that stays with you, provoking thought and sparking debate.
Well said. It's a story that invites us to question our assumptions, to empathize with those who make difficult choices, and to consider the often blurred lines between right and wrong.
Well, folks, there you have it, our deep dive into Poor Girls by Claire Whitfield. We hope this conversation has given you a taste of this rich and thought-provoking novel. Be sure to check out the link to the book in the description, and please share your favorite moment or any questions you have in the comments below.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like and subscribe to the show. We're always exploring new and fascinating topics, so hit that notification bell so you don't miss out.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.